Hi guys, this is Bruce Wedding from the copywritingboard.com, bringing you another 5-minute review, although truthfully they're more like 8 to 10 minutes. This one is for Penny Doblin. Her site is 50WaysToBoostYourSelfEsteem.com, and let's get right into it. Penny, your header is a classic example of the graphics competing for the headline. They're basically the same size font. They're above the headline. So we're going to be distracted, and we don't want people to be distracted by the headline. We want them, by the graphic, we want them to be reading the headline. I actually like your headline, but what I want you to do in this area below the headline, right here, I want you to take that and drop it down below your salutation and expand on Sally's story. This should result in 4 or 5 paragraphs of how down and out she was, and go into some details on the story. Tell a real story about how bad it was, and then how quickly it turned around, and maybe even go into a little bit of what she did to turn it around, rather than just summarizing Sally's story in 2 paragraphs. So you might ask, what goes in this section if you move that? What goes in it is everything you put right here in this section. This is your deck copy. Use this as a subhead and then bulletize these points right here. Although this one's a little long, maybe break that into 2 bullet points. But that would be in your deck copy in about the same size font. Small subhead, and then these bullet points. Bring the story down here, Sally's story, and really elaborate on the story. Okay, so going further down into your copy, I think you can do a lot better than Dear Reader. Come up with something that speaks directly to the target audience that you're referring to. And overall, your letter was really good. You, through most parts, you made good use of bucket brigade phrases, and it's fairly easy to read. The weak areas that I see in your letter, the weakest areas, are your bullets. Like, for example, right here, discover how to switch on good feelings about yourself, how to change your beliefs about yourself, and how to live your ideal life. What you have, you're essentially describing a feature, and I know it probably doesn't seem like it when we're talking about ourselves, but you need to be a lot more specific and turn this, go from a feature into a benefit. What happens to your life when you switch on good feelings about yourself? That's what you need to address in the second part of that bullet. And what happens when you change your beliefs about yourself? You need to be more like, discover how to change your beliefs about yourself so that blank happens, or so that you can finally do this or that. It's just you need to really expand on the bullets. Okay, here you're talking about turning around your life, and then you elaborate on your passion and what you've done for the last 25 years, and it results ultimately in you transform your life from this bad to this good life, and that's great, but you haven't told me, the reader, why that's important to me. You're basically trying to establish your credibility, but you're only going halfway. You need to turn it around, and when you say I want to share some of those breakthroughs with you right now, you should sprinkle some of this up in here and say, I've read hundreds of books about self-help, psychology, etc., and therefore I know the solution to your problem, and elaborate on that. Tell them why. Okay, what I've got marked right here, these 3 bullets, are all negative bullets. You will, I know you say no longer, but try to disappear in a group. Be afraid to make your point, or feel inadequate or inferior. What you want to do is turn those around. So instead of saying try to disappear in a group, you'll turn it around and say, instead of no longer, you'll say you will, stand out in a group. You will raise your hand and make your point in the meeting, See how that's positive versus negative? I think you need to make those all, turn them on their head and make them positive points. Okay, I've scrolled back up a little bit to talk about, you see all the highlighted ands in there? Everywhere I've highlighted should be a period and a new sentence begin. Compound sentences don't belong in copywriting. Every sentence should be made as short as possible. This all has to do with ease of reading. And I just have built a built-in button in my head that anytime I type "and," I ask myself, should this be two sentences? The answer is almost always yes. So I would break those up and even throw in a single sentence line, or vary the size of your paragraphs. See, these are almost all the same, and that's another thing you can do, although you do use the one sentence paragraph right here, which I like. This is not terrible, but I would try to vary the lengths of the paragraphs even more to make it appear even more readable, but you do keep them short. I like that overall. Okay, this section right here, more bullets where you didn't complete the bullet. In my mind, you wrote half a bullet. Be more attractive to the opposite sex so that you can attract the person you'll fall madly in love with. Be more confident at work and in job interviews so that you can finally land that six-figure job you've been trying to get. Find it easier to make friends so you will have an exciting social life, blah, blah, blah. Each one needs to be expanded on and really drill home what the benefit of gaining this self-esteem will be for them. And your book is facing the wrong way. It's not a big deal, but this, if the cover is facing, leaning, to the right like it is, then it needs to be on the left side, and vice versa. Okay, scrolling down a little bit more, the true cost of doing nothing. We need a transition sentence here because we sort of went from all these great things to what happens if we don't do it, and you need some type of transition before you go into this subhead right here. And actually I was looking at these, and I think this one here could be your transition if you just move this up above here. And then we talk about, because it doesn't really address the cost of doing nothing, these next ones down below are the ones that address the cost of doing nothing. So move that up and leave these where they're at.